नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी चारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत वेदांत श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्राभिषिक्तियुष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकप्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमन् भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वांतो जितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षरायते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्री कृष्ण नमस्तुमे अदेक बंधो मत्संगिन मद्गुरु महाधन मनस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्तुते संयुतादायन अतिनि चोच्चताकर आनमंच कदाचिन माम प्रेमणा हरिकंठयोस्पुरा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 3.22.20 यतो भवद्विश्वमिदं विचित्रं संस्थास्यते यत्र च वावतिष्ठते प्रजापतीनां पतिरेशमह्यं परं प्रमाणं भगवान् अनन्तः. The highest authority for me is the unlimited supreme personality of Godhead, from whom this wonderful creation emanates and in whom its sustenance and dissolution result. He is the origin of all Prajapatis. The personality is meant to produce living entities in this world. अर्थे प्रमाणं तव मम च स्मृत्यारूढः विभवान् एव इत्याह. The authority for me and the authority for you also is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has come into our memories. Yataha iti yadva. Another meaning. Nanu tava pituhu प्रजापतेः आज्ञा सृष्टवेव न विशेषे सृष्टवेव न वैराग्ये. कृष्ण. Somebody should go through this and do proofreading. He anticipates that Manu would be thinking that your father, the Prajapati, he ordered you to create, not to engage in vairagya. So in response to that anticipated thought, he states the current verse, Yataha iti samsthasyate layam yasyati. Va avetti eva arthe. Vava iti eva arthe. Vava means eva. So where is Vava? Yatra cha va ava space tishthate. That is also possible here. He is taking Vava separately and tishthate separately. Prajapati nam atpitra adi nam api patihi atah sa eva param pramam. And Lord Shukla, he is the master of the Prajapatis, beginning with my father. Therefore, he is the supreme authority. Tasya agya eva maya palaniya natu pitureveti bhavaha. The implication is I should carry out his instruction, not carry out the instruction of my father. See, this is hierarchical, acceptance of hierarchical authority. Just like in practically every country, we have lower court, a higher court, and a supreme court. And the idea is that you should carry out all the pronouncements of the lower court unless it is specifically cancelled, unless any specific injunction is cancelled by a higher court. And if a specific injunction of the higher court is cancelled by the Supreme Court, then you have to follow that. So this is just common. Everybody follows that. So it's not some very complicated thing that we should follow like he's following Brahma. As long as Brahma's instruction does not contradict Lord Shukla's instruction. Otherwise, he will follow it. Now, only this one particular instruction. Brahma gave instruction he should create, which means he should marry, he should be in family life. But Lord Shukla said that at some point he should renounce. So that particular instruction will supersede that particular instruction. This should be clearly understood. It's not that we accept means we accept blindly, or we reject means we reject blindly. There has to be some discrimination. Kardamuni was ordered by his father Prajapati to produce children. In the beginning of creation, the Prajapatis were meant to produce a large population which was to reside in the planets of the gigantic universe. But Kardamuni said that although his father was Prajapati, who desired him to produce children, actually his origin was the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Because Vishnu is the origin of everything. He is the actual creator of this universe. He is the actual maintainer. And when everything is annihilated, it rests in him only. That is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. For creation, maintenance, and annihilation. There are the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Shiva. But Brahma and Maheshwara are qualitative expansions of Vishnu. Vishnu is a central figure. Therefore, he takes charge of maintenance. No one can maintain the whole creation but him. There are innumerable entities and they have innumerable demands. No one but Vishnu can fulfill the innumerable demands of all the innumerable living entities. Brahma is ordered to create and Shiva is ordered to annihilate. The middle function, maintenance, is taken charge of by Vishnu. Kardamuni knew very well by his power in progressive spiritual life that Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, was his worshipable deity. Whatever Vishnu desired was his duty and nothing else. He was not prepared to beget a number of children. He would beget only one child who would help the mission of Vishnu. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, whenever there is a discrepancy in the discharge of religious principles, the Lord descends to the surface of the earth to protect religious principles and to annihilate the miscreants. Marrying and begetting a child is considered to liquidate one's debts to the family in which one is born. There are many debts which are imposed upon a child just after his birth. There are debts to the family in which one is born, debts to the demigods, debts to the pitas, pitris, debts to the rishis, etc. But if someone engages only in the service of the Supreme Lord, the personality of God, who is actually worshipable, then even without trying to liquidate other debts, one becomes free from all obligations. Arjuna preferred to devote his life as a servant of the Lord in Paramahamsa knowledge and to beget a child only for that purpose, not to beget numberless children to fill up the vacancies in the universe. So here child means male child. Because female children, they will be given away. They are not going to be with you for whole life. They are meant to be given away. That is Vedic Dharma. Just one minute. Mohan Radhapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, I have two questions actually. In previous purport, there was one line that in other stages of life there is competition and envy, but in Paramahamsa stage there is no scope of envy. So in other bona fide ashrams, how is there envy? Like Grahast ashram, okay, little bit is understood, but still I wanted to get some more clarification. Is there envy and competition even in brahmachari or vanprastha life, or even in grihastha life?
They are all preparatory. Brahmachari, either he is preparing to become a sannyasi or he is preparing to become a grihastha. Vanaprastha is preparing to become a sannyasi. So, because they are all preparatory, some amount of grayness is there. A little bit of a gray area. Here also Paramahamsa stage only. The Paramahamsa stage of sannyas, not the lower stages of sannyas.
Okay. And so the second question is, if one couple doesn't get a male child, If there is a male child, it's his responsibility to take care of his parents. But if they don't have a male child or they have only female child, so in that case, like modern notion is, okay, girl will take care. Like girls, they feel like this that my parents don't have a male child, so I will take care of them, even at the cost of neglecting the family in which she is married. So for this, what how Vedic rules are designed in such case?
I don't understand your question.
A child is supposed to take care of his parents in old age.
Not a
Now,
child,
a couple.
a male child.
Okay, only a male child, not female.
Female, she belongs to her husband. Where is the scope for her ability to think all these things? If she is interested in attaining karma phala, jnana phala, yoga phala, bhakti phala, then what is the point? Where is the scope for these things? If she doesn't believe in any of these things, then of course it is meaningless. So they'll do whatever they want. Both men, women, father, mother, children, and grandchildren. Everybody does whatever you want, all in the name of Hinduism. But it may have nothing to do with the reality of scriptural teaching.
The notion which they came up with is that because my, like girl may say, because my parents doesn't have a male child, so now I will function as a male child. I have heard these
Can you
crazy
imagine
dialogues.
whatever what they cannot get? Freedom from lust, anger, greed by disobeying the Vedic scriptures. You cannot get a superior in your next life by disobeying the Vedic scripture. These people probably don't even believe in next life.
Mm-hmm.
So bothered about what these characters think.
And but if they ask genuinely about a practical solution, that okay, I want to follow Vedic scriptures, but no one is there to take care of them. So what best can be done in such case? Or what was the system in Vedic times for such couples?
First of all, in the Vedic concept of life, family has to have three generations. If you don't have a son, then you adopt a son. If still you don't have a son, then you have to. There are certain surrogates for sons who do different things. Just like when someone dies, there are those who will burn the body. If that person is not available, then whom to approach, that is also specified. If that person is not available, who should do it, that is also specified. So in that way, there are some 6 or 7 sequential alternatives. So like that, here also, that's all.
Mhm. Okay, bro. Thank you, bro.
Dharmatma bro.
I just want to add some comment. I want to comment. And previously, according to Vedic scriptures, people live in combined family. Even if one does not have a male child, their brothers, it's combined family. Everybody is taken care of properly. They don't have to worry too much that it does not have male. Of course, they generally want a male child. And but if they do not have, it's not a problem. It does not become a big problem.
Now, husband and wife living together is considered a combined family.
So this is the situation, then they should suffer. First of all, they do not follow Vedic rules and regulations at all. So they
If
can't
you tell
ask
them,
these.
if you tell them, why don't you get the fathers, younger brothers, and everyone to live together, then they'll say, immediately they'll rebel. They say, no, 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 how can this be? He said that day, this thing he said, and she said that, he said that. They don't respect me. They don't stand up when I come. They don't look at me. They look at me like this. What? What? You cannot solve these kind of problems. One has to have a mature understanding. It is an austerity. Grihastha life, as described in Vedic Shastra, is an austerity. Okay, 21. That is why simple solution. Just when one is faced with situations like that, just go take sannyas. That's all. Finish. At least do that properly. 21. Maitreya Vacha. So Ugradhanvan Yadevavabhashe Asik Chatushni Aravindanabham Dhiyopagrihnam Smitashobhitena Mukhena Cheto Lulubhe Devahutyah. Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only and then became silent, thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahuti, who began to meditate upon the great sage. E Ugradhanvan, O great warrior, iti Swam yatha viraha yuddhaya pratya avartase tha sopi swabhimatad bhagavad dharmad iti bhavaha. This is an address to Vidura. Just as you do not युद्धाय प्रत्यवर्तसे actually युद्धाय न प्रत्यवर्तसे युद्धात् my God Krishna न प्रत्यवर्तसे. Just as you don't, when you are in a war, you will not return from a war, you will not escape from a war, like that he also, Kardama, he did not keep away from Bhagavad Dharma, which was very dear to him. That is the implication here. ततश्च देवहूत्या स्मितशोभितेन मुखेन चेतः लुल्लुभे. अर्थात कर्दमस्य चेतः तस्यां लुब्धं बभूव. He, at that time, Kardama's mind became attracted to the sweet, beautiful face of Devahuti. She was smiling. Her mind was attracted to him. It looks like both ways. No? Prabhupada interprets this to mean that his face captured the mind of Devahuti. Prabhu says, so it is revealed that it is revealed that Manu and Shatrupa were not in anxiety. Oh, we are giving our daughter to someone who is excessively renounced. Happy to see that both of them were happy with each other. Prabhupada's interpretation follows Jiva Goswami. Ayameva Mahabhagavataha Mad Patitva Yogya iti Lokam Chakara. Devahuti's mind was attracted to him with the thought that such a Mahabhagavata as this person, he is fit to be my husband. It appears that Kardamuni was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness because as soon as he became silent, he at once began to think of Lord Vishnu. That is the way of Krishna consciousness. Lord devotees are so absorbed in thought of Krishna that they have no other engagement, although they may seem to think or act otherwise. They are always thinking of Krishna. The smile of such a Krishna conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers. One thing is amazing that Gardu Muni was actually thinking of Ravindanabha. Ravindanabham Thiya Upagrihnam. He seized the Supreme Lord by his thought. 22. Sonam Gyatva Vyavasitam Mahishyaduvito Sputam Tasmai Gunaganadhyaya Dadau Tulyam Praharshitaha. After having unmistakably known the decision of the queen, as well as that of Devahuti, the emperor most gladly gave his daughter to the sage whose host of virtues was equal by hers. स मनुः अनन्तरं दुहितुः देवहूतेः महिष्याः तन्मातुः च व्यवसितम् अभिप्राय. So he found out the decision of, he meaning the emperor, found out the decision of the queen as well as his daughter. And only after they agreed, then he gave in marriage. So even though previously the best method of marital arrangement was understood to be arranged marriage, still they take the consensus of the ladies. 23. Shatarupa Maharajji Paribarhan Mahadhanan Dampatyo Paryadat Pritya Bhusha Vasa Parichalan. Empress Shatarupa lovingly gave most valuable presents suitable for the occasion, such as jewelry, clothes, and household articles in dowry to the bride and bridegroom. Paribarhan Vivahe Pradeyan. So Paribarhan refers to dowry. They're meant to be given at the time of wedding. Ahanti Mulyani Yesham Tan Arghyan Ityarthaha. So they gave very valuable presents. The custom of giving one's daughter in charity with the dowry is still current in India. The gifts are given according to the provision of the father of the bride. Paribarhan Mahadhanan means the dowry which must be awarded to the bridegroom at the time of marriage. Here, Mahadhanan means greatly valuable gifts befitting the dowry of an empress. The words Bhushavasa Parichadan also appear here. Bhushavasa Parichadan. They gave ornaments, clothes, and articles for household use. Bhusha means ornaments, Vasa means clothing, and Parichadan means various household articles. All things befitting the marriage ceremony of an emperor's daughter were awarded to Kartamani, who was until now observing celibacy as a brahmachari. The bride Devahuti was very richly dressed with ornaments and clothing. In this way, Kartamani was married with full opulence to a qualified wife and was endowed with the necessary paraphernalia for household life. In the Vedic way of marriage, such a dowry is still given to the bridegroom by the father of the bride. Even in poverty-stricken India, there are marriages where hundreds and thousands of rupees are spent for a dowry. The dowry system is not illegal, as some have tried to prove. The dowry is a gift given to the daughter by the father to show goodwill, and it is compulsory. In rare cases where the father is completely unable to give a dowry, it is enjoined that he must at least give a fruit and a flower. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, God can also be pleased even by a fruit and a flower. So even though it is given to the bride groom, he is actually accepting it on behalf of the bride, and it belongs to the bride. When there is financial inability and no question of accumulating a dowry by another means, one can give a fruit and a flower for the satisfaction of the bridegroom, just as a gesture. 24. Praptamuhidaram samrat sadrikshaye gatavyasah upaguhya cha bahubhyam outkanthyon shayah. Thus relieved of his responsibility by handing over his daughter to a suitable man, Swayambhu Manu, his mind agitated by feelings of separation, embraced his affectionate daughter with both his arms. A father always remains in anxiety until he can hand over his grown-up daughter to a suitable boy. The father and mother's responsibility for children continues until they marry them to suitable spouses. When the father is able to perform that duty, he is relieved of his responsibility because now the responsibility is taken by the husband of the bride. 25. Ashaknavam stad viraham munchan bashpa kalamuhu asinchad ambavatseti netro dair duhitu shikha. The emperor was unable to bear the separation of his daughter. Therefore, tears poured from his eyes again and again, drenching his daughter's head as he cried, "My dear mother, my dear daughter, evatseti bruvan." So he said all these things. The word Amba is significant. Amba, my dear mother, Vatsa, my dear daughter. The father sometimes addresses his daughter in affection as mother and sometimes as my darling, that is Vatsa. The feeling of separation occurs because until the daughter is married, she remains a daughter of the family. But after her marriage, she is no longer claimed as a daughter in the family. She must go to the husband's house, for after marriage, she becomes the property of the husband. According to Manu Samhita, a woman is never independent. She must remain the property of the father while she is not married, and she must remain the property of the husband until she is elderly and has grown up children of her own. In old age, when the husband has taken sannyas and left home, she remains the property of the sons. The woman is always dependent either upon the father, husband, or elderly sons. That will be exhibited in the life of Devahuti. See, the whole idea is this: Vedic culture is uh, essentially that it is arranged in a hierarchy of steps to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhakti Eka Gochara Narayana Param Brahma Gita Shastre Samiritaha. This is Yamunacharya's uh, first verse of his Gita Sangraha, his summary of Bhagavad Gita. In that, this is the very first verse. Here he summarizes everything he has summarized. Is a summary of the summary. So he says that in Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly described that the Supreme Brahman is Lord Narayana, who can only be attained through bhakti, which is attained by Vairagya, which is attained by Jnana, which is attained. First, you have to follow your specific duties. Of course, there are common duties also. Along with common duties, you have to engage in specific duties. That will give rise to knowledge, understanding, realization, which will give rise to internal renunciation, internal detachment, external renunciation, which will give rise to full-fledged engagement in Narayana Bhakti, which will give rise to pure love of Godhead, by which you attain eternal service, uninterrupted service to Lord Narayana. This is Vedic culture. So, since just like we put a child in a school, and it is automatically understood that you are meant to progress, and everything is calculated in terms of how much the student progresses or not progresses. Similarly, in Vedic culture, cultured means you're progressive. And in order to progress towards Vairagya, Vidya, Bhakti, the training for that progress is provided both for men and women. And men are more capable of progressing towards Vairagya, Vidya, Bhakti than women. The woman's subtle body and all is more inclined towards the opposite of these. So therefore, she requires help to develop an increase of Vairagya Vidya Bhakti. Therefore, all these rules are there. Okay. Devhuti's father handed over responsibility for her to the husband Kardama Muni, and in the same way, Kardama Muni also left home, giving the responsibility to his son Kapila Deva. This narration will describe these events one after another. 26, 27. Amantriyatam munivaram anugyata sahanugraha pratasthe rathamaruhya sabharya swapram nripa upayor rishikuryaya sarasvatya surodhaso rishinam upashantanam pashyan ashrama sampadaha. After asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started for his capital, followed by his retinue. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil seers, beautiful hermitages on both the charming banks of the Saraswati, the river so agreeable to saintly persons. Rishi Kulyaya, Rishi Nam Saritaha, Rishi Kula Hitaya Va. Hitaya. Hitaya. Okay. This is a description of Saraswati. Okay. Saraswati was for the benefit of the community of the sages. Ubhayoh Surodhasoh Shobhana Tatoh. On both sides of its banks, beautiful banks, there were hermitages. So he saw all this. As cities are constructed in the modern age with great engineering and architectural craftsmanship, so in days gone by, there were neighborhoods called Rishikulas, where great saintly persons resided. In India, there are still many magnificent places for spiritual understanding. There are many rishis and saintly persons living in nice cottages on the banks of the Ganges and Yamuna for purposes of spiritual cultivation. While passing through the Rishikulas, the king and his party were very much satisfied with the beauty of the cottages and hermitages. It is stated here, Pashyan Ashrama Sampadaha. They could see the prosperity of the beautiful hermitages. The great sages had no skyscrapers, but the hermitages were so beautiful that the king was very much pleased at the sight. 28. Tamayantam abhipretya brahmavartat prajapatim Gita samstuti vaditraish pratyudiv praharshitah. Overjoyed to know of his arrival, his subjects came forth from Brahmavarta to greet their returning lord with songs, prayers, and musical instruments. Pratyudiv, pratyujapmuhu. They all came forward to greet him. It is the custom of the citizens of a kingdom's capital to receive the king when he returns from a tour. There is a similar description when Krishna returned to Dwaraka after the battle of Kurukshetra. At that time, he was received by all classes of citizens at the gate of the city. Formerly, capital cities were surrounded by walls, and there were different gates for regular entrance. Even in Delhi today, there are old gates, and some other old cities have such gates where citizens would gather to receive the king. Here also, the citizens of Varshishmati, the capital of Brahmavarta, the kingdom of Swayambhuva, came nicely dressed to receive the emperor with decorations and musical instruments. For brahmacharis, I don't think this chapter is who are you to make all these decisions? Can I neglect this chapter while I read Bhagavatam? No, not at all. Of course not. You should know what you want to give up. The great sages had no skyscrapers, but in our temples everywhere we only see marble buildings. Now that is to attract the public. It is not our own residence. Also, Prabhupada wanted farm communities. In farm communities, you will not have all these things. 29, 30, Brahishmati Namapuri, Sarva Sampat Samanvita, Patan Yatra Romani, Yagyasyangam Vidhunvataha, Ushakashas Evasan, Shishwad Dharitavarchasaha, Rishayo Yai, Parabhavya, Yagyaknan, Yagyamiji Re, city of Brahishmati. Rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Boar. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass and kasha, another kind of grass used for mats, by means of which the sages worshipped Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with the performance of their sacrifices. Kosau Brahmavartaha Ityapekshayamaha Yatra Barhishmati Nama Puri Iti. What is this Brahmavarta? Anticipating this question, it is described that its capital was Barhishmati. Sapikutra, where is that Barhishmati city? Yatra Yagyasya Yagyavarahasya Romanin Yapatan. It was in the place where the hairs of Lord Yagyavaraha had fallen. Yatreti sarvatra sambandhyate. Grammatical note. Any place directly connected with the Supreme Lord is called Pithasthana. Barhishmati, the capital of Swayambhu Manu, was exalted not because the city was very rich in wealth and opulence, but because the hairs of Lord Varaha fell at this very spot. These hairs of the Lord later grew as green grass And the sages used to worship the Lord with that grass after the time when the Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha. Yajna means Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of God. In Bhagavad Gita, karma is described as Yagyartha. Yagyartha karma means work done only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Yagyo vai Vishnu. Yagya is directly a name of Lord Vishnu. If one wants to be freed from the reaction of his work, he must perform everything for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Yagya. In the capital of Swayambhu, Manu, Barhishmati, these particular functions are being performed by the great sages and saintly persons. So one must carry out all pious activities so that he can, with the desire to please the Supreme Lord, so that he would receive freedom from lust, anger, and greed. 31. Kushakashamayam barhir, astirya bhagavan manu, ayajad yajya purusham, labdhasthanam yato bhuvam. Manu spread the seat of Kushas and Kashas and worshipped the Lord, the personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Barhishmati nama nirvakti romanyeva kushaha te asan ityanvayaha. Barhishmati means, it comes from the word barhish, which means a seat. So because Manu had spread a seat, Barhish, therefore that city is known as the city of the seat, Barhishmati. Manu is the father of mankind, and therefore from Manu comes the word man. Or in comes the word, English word man, or in Sanskrit Manushya. Those who are in a better position in the world, having sufficient wealth, should especially take lessons from Manu, to acknowledge his kingdom and opulence to be gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus always engaged in devotional service. Similarly, the descendants of Manu or human beings, especially those who are situated in a well-to-do condition, must consider that whatever riches they have are gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those riches should be utilized for the service of the Lord and sacrifices performed to please Him. There is a way of utilizing wealth and opulence. No one can achieve wealth, opulence, good birth, a beautiful body, or nice education without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, those who are in possession of such valuable facilities must acknowledge their gratefulness to the Lord by worshipping Him and offering what they have received from Him. When such acknowledgement is given, either by a family, nation, or society, their abode becomes almost like Vaikuntha, and it becomes free from the operation of the threefold miseries of this material world. In the modern age, the mission of Krishna consciousness is for everyone to acknowledge the supremacy of Lord Krishna. Whatever one has in his possession must be considered a gift by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, everyone should engage in devotional service through Krishna consciousness. If one wants to be happy and peaceful in his position, either as a householder or a citizen or member of human society, one must promote devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. Prane Rathe Dhiya Vacha. That is the formula. If you cannot give up your life, full life, dedicate your whole life to exclusively serving Lord Krishna, use your wealth. You cannot do that. Use your intelligence to help those who have dedicated their life, who are dedicating their wealth. If you cannot do that, at least provide vocal support as a sympathizer. Barhishmati Nama Vibhur Yam Nirvishya Sama Vasat. Oh, no, I have missed out this. Kushakashamayamiti, not Barhi Shabdena, Upayoktaha Vambhurupam Sthanam Lubdhva. Labdhva. What is this? This is 31. 31. Labdhva. Iti Trindratiyanda. Barhi. He obtained that land where that Kasha and Kusha were there. 32. Barhishmati nama vibhur yam nirvishya samavasat tasyam pravishto bhavanam tapatraya vinashanam. Having entered the city of Barhishmati in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three miseries of material existence. Prastutamaha. What is this? Ma. Krishna. Yam samavas. Samavasat. Tasyam purvam ushitaha. Tasyam prathamam nirvishya swiyam bhuvanam. So he returned to the city where he had previously lived and specifically entered into his home. The material world or material existential life is filled with threefold miseries. Miseries pertaining to the body and mind, miseries pertaining to natural disturbances, and miseries inflicted by other living entities. Human society is meant to create a spiritual atmosphere by spreading the spirit of Krishna consciousness. The miseries of material existence cannot affect the status of Krishna consciousness. It is not that the miseries of the material world completely vanish when one takes to Krishna consciousness, but for one who is Krishna conscious, the miseries of material existence have no effect. See, it's not that these miseries go away, but they have no effect. We cannot stop the miseries of the material atmosphere, but Krishna consciousness is the antiseptic method to protect us from being affected by the miseries of material existence. For a Krishna conscious person, both living in heaven and living in hell are equal. That means living in a happy environment and living in an unhappy environment are equal. How Swayambhu Manu created an atmosphere wherein he was not affected by material miseries is explained in the following verses. Very interesting description here. Yes.
Oh, this miseries does not affect means which happens only after one becomes pure devotee.
Yeah.
So in between the stages, in any stage, we don't experience like that, no?
I don't understand. Before one comes to that point, one will be affected. After that, one will not be affected.
So one has to become pure devotee, then only that happens. So in the case of now, we see Guru Maharaj also faces so many difficulties. Every time we hear that he faces this problem and that problem, and he says that he gets pain.
Anyway, the miseries will be there, but one will not be affected by the miseries. That is what is said here now. The miseries will be there, but the miseries will not affect one.
No,
It will become
means,
clear. As we study further, it will become clear what it means. It means
yeah.
it will not have any effect on our Krishna consciousness or even in our regular consciousness. One will recognize the pleasure to be pleasure and the pain to be pain. That's all. Okay, let's move on. 33. Actually, that is there in even a Sthita Pragya. Jnana Yogi also comes to that point. Ashtanga Yogi also comes to that point. Sthita Pragya. One is not affected. 33. Sabharya saprajah kama nubujenyavaro kataha. No. Sabharya saprajah kama nubuje anya avirodhataha. Sangiyamana satkirte. Sastrivi suragayakai. Pratyusheshwanubadhena hridashrinvan harih katha. Emperor Swayambhu Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor. And early in the morning, every day, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Anyasya dharmasya avirodhena. So he fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by his other duties. contrary to the process of religion. Pratyusheshu, pratyushassu, pratyushe arabhya ityartha. Early in the morning he used to listen means from early in the morning he used to listen. Kathaya eva swamadhuryena anuviddhena vashikritena hrida. He has anuviddhena. So Madhurya Anuviddhena, correct. Yes, Anuviddhena. His reading is Anuviddhena. The meaning is the same. Anuviddhena, Anubhavdhena, Vashikritena. His heart was completely charmed and completely attracted by the topics of Lord Hari. Human society is actually meant for realization of perfection in Krishna consciousness. There's no restriction against living with a wife and children. But life should be so conducted that one may not go against the principles of religion, economic development, regulated sense enjoyment, and ultimately liberation from material existence. The Vedic principles are designed in such a way that the conditioned souls who have come to this material existence may be guided in fulfilling their material desires and at the same time be liberated and go back to God, back home. It is understood that Emperor Swayambhu Manu enjoyed his household life by following these principles. It is stated here that early in the morning, there were musicians who used to sing with musical instruments about the glories of the Lord, and the emperor with his family personally used to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Person. This custom is still prevalent in India in some of the royal families and temples. Professional musicians sing with shanais, and the sleeping members of the house gradually get up from their beds in a pleasing atmosphere. During bedtime also, the singers sing songs in relationship with the pastimes of the Lord with shanai accompaniment, and the householders gradually fall asleep, remembering the glories of the Lord. In every house, in addition to the singing program, there's an arrangement for Bhagavatam lectures in the evening. Family members sit down, hold Hare Krishna Kirtan, hear narrations from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and enjoy music before going to bed. The atmosphere created by the Sankirtan movement lives in their hearts, and while sleeping, they also dream of the singing and glorification of the Lord. In such a way, perfection of Krishna consciousness can be attained. This practice is very old, as learned from this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Millions of years ago, Swayambhu Manu used to avail himself of this opportunity to live householder life in the presence and prosperity of a Krishna conscious atmosphere. As far as temples are concerned, in each and every royal palace or rich man's house, inevitably there is a nice temple. We are talking of pious rich men. And the members of the household rise early in the morning and go to the temple to see the Mangalarti ceremony. The Mangalarti ceremony is the first worship of the morning. In the Arati ceremony, a light is offered in circles before the deities, as are a conch shell and a flower and a fan. The Lord is supposed to rise early in the morning and take some light refreshment and give audience to the devotees. The devotees then go back to the house or sing the glories of the Lord in the temple. The early morning ceremony still takes place in Indian temples and palaces. Temples are meant for the assembly of the general public. Temples within palaces are especially for the royal families, but in many of these palace temples, the public is also allowed to visit. The temple of the king of Jaipur is situated within the palace, but the public is allowed to assemble. If one goes there, you will see that the temple is always crowded with at least 500 devotees. After the Mangalarti ceremony, they sit down together and sing the glories of the Lord with musical instruments and thus enjoy life. Temple worship by the royal family is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, where it is stated that those who fail to achieve success in the Bhakti-yoga principles within one life are given a chance to take birth in the next life in a family of rich men or a royal family or family of learned brahmanas or devotees. If one gets the opportunity to take birth in these families, he can achieve the facilities of a Krishna conscious atmosphere without difficulty. A child born in that Krishna atmosphere is sure to develop Krishna. The perfection which he failed to attain in his last life is again offered in this life, and he can make himself perfect without fail. So much of opportunity Krishna provides. Okay, there's a question here. Mayapur is such a big place. Why there is no farm community here? You should ask those who are developing Mayapur, ISKCON Mayapur. There is some thought of surrounding areas to be developed like that. 34. Nishnatam yoga mayasu munim swayam bhuvam manam yad abhram shayyita tum bhoga nasheku bhagavat param. The Swayambhu Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Abhyasadeva Mayasu, Maya Gyaneshu, Nishnatam, Paragam. Because of his practice in Ashtanga Yoga, even though he was within the arrangements of Maya, तथा असो विषयान् भोक्तुं जानाति यथा सम्यक् भुक्ता अपि विषया स्वेषु आसक्तिम् उत्पादयितुं न शक्नुवन्ति इति अर्थः. The idea is that he knew how to be happy in his situation by engaging in Bhagavad Bhakti. He knew about Maya. So even though he was fully expert, he was not overcome by the feelings of delusion. He enjoyed, he knew how to enjoy his senses in such a manner that the sense objects were not capable of making him attached towards them. The kingly happiness of material enjoyment generally drags one to the lowest grade of life, namely degradation to animal life, because of unrestricted sense enjoyment. But Swayambhu Manu was considered as good as the saintly sage, because the atmosphere created in his kingdom and home was completely Krishna conscious. The case is similar with the conditioned souls in general. They have come into this material world for sense gratification, but if they are able to create a Krishna conscious atmosphere as depicted here, or as prescribed in revealed scriptures, by temple worship and household deity worship, then in spite of their material enjoyment, they can make advancement in pure Krishna consciousness without a doubt. At the present moment, modern civilization is too much attached to the material way of life for sense gratification. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement can give the people in general the best opportunity to utilize human life in the midst of material enjoyment. Krishna consciousness does not stop them in their propensity for material enjoyment, but simply regulates their habits in the life of sense enjoyment. In spite of their enjoying the material advantages, they can be liberated in this very life by practicing Krishna consciousness by the simple method of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 35. Ayatayamas tasyasan yamaswantara Shrinvato dhyayato Vishnu kurvato bravato tatha. Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life, consisting of a Manvantara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. Tata tasya yama. Yes. Tata tasya yama. Yatayama. Vyartha. So his hours were not wasted. जीवं च परिभुक्तं च यातयाममिदं द्वयम् इति अमरः कीदृशाः स्वान्तरं स्वीयं मन्वन्तरं यापयन्ति इति. So all of this time, throughout his regime, throughout his time, his term of Manvantara, all of the hours were used for hearing about Lord Vishnu, meditating on Lord Vishnu, acting for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, speaking about Lord Vishnu, and so on. Kurvatah swavakyaihi drishya shravya kavya rupena upanibadhnatah. Very fine how he acted in pleasure for the pleasure of the Lord. He arranged for compositions about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of stage performances, which could be heard or which could be seen and heard, both audio performances or audio visual performances. There are different types of stage performances. Poetry is that which is sung, so it is meant to be relished through the ears only, Shravya. Then there is Drishya, which means like a Nataka, for instance, or a dance drama. There are different types. These ones, they involve both seeing and hearing. So he arranged for all of these. Um, that, um, the Supreme Lord Hari, he should be glorified in this manner. Okay, there's a question here. Yes.
Prabhuji, in 34th purport, Krishna consciousness doesn't stop one's propensity of material enjoyment, but simply regulates. But while advancing along with this regulated material enjoyment, the speed will differ, no, bro? As you already mentioned, that if someone does material enjoyment, that regulated material enjoyment, he will advance at a slow pace as compared to other.
The desire for material enjoyment, obviously it is going to slow down. If he has no desire for material happiness, then even if he's in an atmosphere filled with material happiness, he will make rapid progress.
Okay, bro.
The kingly happiness, okay, this we read. As freshly prepared food is very tasteful, but if kept for 3 or 4 hours, becomes stale and tasteless. So the existence of material enjoyment can endure as long as life is fresh, but at the fag end of life, everything becomes tasteless, and everything appears to be vain and painful. The life of Emperor Swayambhuva Manu, however, was not tasteless. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. It is said that the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, and its business is to reduce the duration of everyone's life. But the sunrise and sunset cannot diminish the life of one who engages in Krishna consciousness. Swayambhuva Manu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about and meditating upon Lord Vishnu. He was the greatest yogi because he never wasted his time. It is especially mentioned here, Vishnu Purvato Brvatah Katha. When he talked only of Krishna and Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. When he heard something, it was about Krishna. When he meditated, it was upon Krishna and his activities. It is stated that his life was very long. 71 yugas. One yuga is completed in 4,320,000 years. 71 of such yugas is the duration of the life of a Manu. And 14 such Manus come and go in one day of Brahma. There should be capital. There should be a dash above this. For the entire duration of his life, 4,320,000 times 71 years, Manu engaged in Krishna consciousness by chanting, hearing, talking about, and meditating upon Krishna. Therefore, his life was not wasted, nor did it become stale. Okay, question.
Oh, regarding this food, after 3 hours or 4 hours, it becomes stale.
No, I'm not able to. What is regarding what?
Regarding food.
Regarding food.
Yeah. So after 3 hours or 4 hours, it becomes stale. But when in case of a prasadam, it does not be here.
What? It becomes stale only, then what?
But they say prasadam is a transcendental. It is not
okay.
like.
It becomes stale. But it becomes stale. What? Yesterday's prasadam you keep it becomes stale only. Externally, it becomes stale.
Yeah.
So
Just like yesterday, we had this lunar eclipse. So that time during that Chandra Grahan, the food, if it is cooked by, we kept the cooked food, then it becomes polluted. Does it like that?
Like that means?
It becomes polluted.
Yes, it becomes polluted.
But it is a prasadam.
It becomes polluted means that people, they will become affected. It's not that prasadam is affected. We become affected. We become polluted.
So the cooked food are during that time we should not cook the food.
Because it becomes, it pollutes our mind, therefore we should not do all these things.
So we also observe these eclipses and all.
Haribhakti Vilas says that one should observe those who are engaged in exclusive devotional service, they do not need to observe. But those who are engaged in mixed devotion service, in order to move up to exclusive devotion service, they need to do all these things. Okay.
Okay, so what about the passing a urine and stool? What is the connection with that? It is also mentioned one should not pass even a stool and urine during that time.
Because one becomes polluted, that's why.
How one becomes polluted?
There are so many influences. You have to go and ask these questions to an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer. They'll explain all these things. It's all Kala Prabhava. At particular places, particular times, the mind will become affected. One will develop lust, anger, greed. It will increase. The propensity for material enjoyment will increase. One's sinful propensities will increase. So many things are there. Therefore, in Vedic civilization, so many complicated arrangements were there. Okay.
Okay.
Here's another question.
Bro, just a silly point that if someone asks that if prasadam is transcendental, how can it affect the mind in a wrong way?
Why? Just as a woman may be a beautiful woman, may be a pure devotee, you stand in front of her, you won't become lusty. Prasadam is transcendental. We are not transcendental now. So all regulations are meant for us only.
Okay,
We are prasadam not thinking it is prasadam. We are thinking it is food. So Krishna knows these things very well. Therefore, there are rules for us. Why there is Ekadashi then? Why on Ekadashi you cannot eat grain prasadam? Because Krishna knows very well that we will try to enjoy food in the name of prasadam. Therefore, it has to be actually taken out. As a training, gradually we get used to it. So that we ourselves will gradually give up more. Okay, let's move on. 36. स एवं स्वान्तरं निन्ये युगानाम् एकसप्ततिं वासुदेव प्रसंगेन परिभूत गतित्रयः. He passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of the four ages, 71 times 400, 4,320,000 years, always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus he transcended the three destinations. Gatitrayam, Jagradadi Saptadi, Sattwadiva. Tapatrayam Va. He transcended the three destinations, means he transcended the wakeful state, the dreaming state, and dreamless sleep state. Another meaning of the three destinations is he transcended Tamoguna, Rajoguna, and Satoguna. Another meaning is He transcended the state of being afflicted afflicted in his own body and mind, adhyatmika. He transcended the state of being afflicted by natural calamities, adhi-daivika. He transcended the state of being afflicted by other living entities, adhi-bhautika, kleshas. The three destinations are meant for persons who are under the control of the three modes of material nature. These destinations are sometimes described as awakened, dreaming, and unconscious stages. In Bhagavad Gita, the three destinations are described as the destinations of persons in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. It is stated in the Gita that those who are in the mode of goodness are promoted to better living conditions in higher planets. Those who are in the mode of passion remain within this material world on the earth or on heavenly planets. But those who are in the mode of ignorance are degraded to an animal life on planets where life is lower than human. But one who is Krishna conscious is above these three modes of material nature. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who engages in devotional service to the Lord automatically becomes transcendental to the three destinations of material nature and is situated in the Brahmabhuta or self-realized. Although Swayambhuva Manu, the ruler of this material world, appeared to be absorbed in material happiness, he was neither in the mode of goodness nor in the modes of passion or ignorance, but in the transcendental stage. Therefore, one who fully engages in devotional service is always liberated. Vidvan Thakur, a great devotee of the Lord, stated, if I have unflinching devotion to the lotus feet of Krishna, then Mother Liberation is always engaged in my service. The complete perfection of material enjoyment, religion, and economic development is at my command. People are after dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Generally, they perform religious activities to achieve some material gain, and they engage in material activity for sense gratification. After being frustrated in material sense gratification, one wants to be liberated and become one with the absolute truth. These four principles form the transcendental path for the less intelligent. Those who are actually intelligent and engage in Krishna consciousness, not caring for these four principles of the transcendental method, they at once elevate themselves to the transcendental platform, which is above liberation. Liberation is not a very great achievement for a devotee, to say nothing of the results of ritualistic performances in religion, economic development, or the materialistic life of sense gratification. Devotees do not care for these. They are situated always on the transcendental platform of the Brahmabhuta stage of self-realization. 37. Sharira manasa divya vayyase yecha manushah bhautikascha katham klesha badhante harisamshayam. Therefore, O Vidura, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna and devotion service be put into miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? Tatra bhaktireva karanam ityaha sharira iti. It is his pure devotion service to Lord Vishnu that is the reason for his being in such a transcendental situation. Sharira, pertaining to the body. Divya, antariksha. Divya means pertaining to supernatural powers, demigods who are situated in outer space. Manusha, Shatru Prabhava. Manusha refers to disturbances created by human beings. So you have disturbances coming from outer space. That refers to disturbances coming from the demigods. Bhautika, Shita Ushnadi Prabhava. Then you have pertaining to other living beings. This is coming from heat, cold, and so on, these influences. So how can Adhyatmika Klesha, Adhidaivika Klesha, Adhibhautika Klesha trouble one who has taken shelter of Lord Krishna? That is the point. Vayyase, hey Vidura. Vayyase means, O son of Vyasadeva. Every living entity within this material world is always afflicted by some kind of miseries pertaining either to the body, the mind, or natural disturbances. Distresses due to cold in winter and severe heat in summer always inflict miseries on the living entities in this material world, but one who has completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in Krishna consciousness is in the transcendental stage. He is not disturbed by any miseries, either due to the body, the mind, or natural disturbances of summer and winter. He is transcendental to all these miseries. 28. Yah prishto manivih praha dharma nana vidhan shubhan nirnam varna shvanam cha sarvabhuta hita sada. In reply to questions asked by certain sages, he, Swayambhu Manu, out of compassion for all living entities, taught the diverse sacred duties of men in general and the different varnas and ashrama. This is the Manu Samhita that we have. It is coming from Bhrigu, because Bhrigu asked Manu about different duties. There's also one Naradi Manu Samhita that is also there. 39. एतत् आदिराजस्य मनोश्चरितमद्भुतं वर्णितं वर्णनीयस्य तत् apatyo udayam shunu. I have spoken to you of the wonderful character of Swayambhu Manu, the original king, whose reputation is worthy of description. Please hear as I speak of the flourishing of his daughter Devahuti. Udayam, Prabhavam, how she flourished, how she became a pure devotee of the Lord. So, yeah. Why is this not opening? Something wrong with this website or what? Okay, right, we can go this way. This is also not working. Now what do I do?
You can just change in the website link there, chapter.
What?
In the website link at the top, the link is there, no? Vedavis.in library. And after that, the chapter was written there. You can change it. Then sometimes it gets stuck. Doesn't move. We can go back and then you can change the chapter 23, 24. Here, yeah.
23.
Yeah, 23.
What happens? That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Devahuti's lamentation. So notice this word lamentation. Lamentation. It is not Devahuti's ecstasy, it's Devahuti's lamentation. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Chapter 23, Devahuti's lamentation. Text 1. Maitreya Vacha. Pitribhyam prasthite sadhvi patim mingita kovita nityam paryacharat pritya bhavani va bhavam prabhum. Maitreya continued, after the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. Devahutyam varastasya vanchata divya sampadaha srishtva ratih kardamasya trayo vimshe nirupyate. So in this 23rd chapter, it is described that the great sage Kardama, he granted a boon to Devahuti, and he created divine opulences in accordance with her desire. And then he enjoyed the association of Devahuti. All of this is described here. The specific example of Bhavani is very significant. Bhavani means the wife of Bhava or Lord Shiva. Bhavani or Parvati, the daughter of the king of the Himalayas, selected Lord Shiva, who appears to be just like a beggar, as her husband. In spite of her being a princess, she undertook all kinds of tribulations to associate with Lord Shiva, who did not even have a house, but was sitting underneath the trees and passing his time in meditation. Although Bhavani was the daughter of a very great king, she used to serve Lord Shiva just like a poor woman. Similarly, Devahuti was the daughter of an emperor, Swayambhu Manu, yet she preferred to accept Kardo Muni as her husband. Therefore, this comparison is given here. Bhavani, serving Bhava. Question.
So, in the purport to 36th verse, there is a line after dharma, arth, kam, moksha. Srila Prabhupada is saying that people perform religious activities to achieve some material gain, and they engage in material activity for sense gratification. So I am unable to relate material gain and material activity. Are they the same? Because Prabhupada is describing the sequence here. So earth.
Gain means artha. Material activity means sense enjoyment. It is the endeavor for sense enjoyment.
Okay.
It is the endeavor for sense enjoyment.
Okay, bro.
You engage in dharma in order to attain artha, and you with the artha you engage in material activities to attain kama. That's the idea. Kama will inevitably lead to frustration, after which you will give up all these things and attain moksha, provided the basis is dharma. If the basis is not dharma, then you will not think of moksha. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Similarly, Devahuti was the daughter of an emperor, Swayambhu Manu, yet she preferred to accept Kardama Muni as her husband. She served him with great love and affection, and she knew how to please him. Therefore, she is designated here as Sadhvi, which means a chaste, faithful wife. Her rare example is the ideal of Vedic civilization. Every woman is expected to be as good and chaste as Devahuti or Bhavan. Today in human society, unmarried girls are still taught to worship Lord Shiva with the idea that they may get husbands like him. Lord Shiva is the ideal husband, not in the sense of riches or sense gratification, but because he is the greatest of all devotees. Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. Shambhu or Lord Shiva is the ideal Vaishnava. He constantly meditates upon Lord Ram and chants Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Shiva has a Vaishnava Sampradaya which is called the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. Unmarried girls worship Lord Shiva so that they can expect a husband who is as good a Vaishnava as he is. The girls are not taught to select a husband who is very rich or very opulent for material sense gratification. Rather, if a girl is fortunate enough to get a husband as good as Lord Shiva in devotion service, then her life becomes perfect. The wife is dependent on the husband, and if the husband is a Vaishnava, then naturally she shares the devotion service of the husband because she renders him service. This reciprocation of service and love between husband and wife is the ideal of a householder's life. Yes.
Prabhu, we were reading in Bhagavad Gita, the 2.62 sloka, where it says in the purport, when Parvati agitated Lord Shiva, they both engaged in sex and then they brought a child. So Prabhupada uses this example, and in the case of Haridas Thakur, it does not happen. But how Lord Shiva is a devotee, so how he can be agitated? By Prabhupada using that example there. He is also a sense controlled person, right?
Okay, that is just to show that women are very powerful. That's all. From that, we understand that women are very powerful. Even if you are such a great ascetic as Lord Shiva, if you put yourself in the proximity of women, then you will become attracted. That is the point.
But the same condition also should be with Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur was not.
Madhavi approached him and asking for sense gratification, but he does not engage. That's all.
No, that is because Haridas Thakur is demonstrating when you engage in pure devotion service to Lord Krishna, then that is something else. Whereas Lord Shiva is not engaged in demonstrating that. Therefore, Lord Shiva is engaged in austerities because Lord Brahma ordered him, you perform austerities till your time. That's all. But Haridas Thakur is not engaging in the chanting process because of some obligation like that. He is engaged in pure devotion service to Krishna and spread pure devotion service to Krishna to everyone. Because of that, it is different.
But we use the example that Lord Shiva always meditates on Lord Rama.
That's okay. So even if you meditate on Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, whoever you may meditate on, because in your duty also you have to do this. You have to mix it with meditation on the Supreme Lord. So if you are just carrying out your duties and you are meditating on the Supreme Lord, and a woman comes in front of you, you will become attracted. Pure devotion service is beyond these all these duties, material duties. So even though Lord Shiva originally is fully pure, he is demonstrating these things so that we can learn these lessons. Okay, we'll move on. 2. Vishrambhenatmasauchena Gauravena Damena cha Shushushaya Sauhridena Vacha Madhuraya cha Bho. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words. Here, 2 words are very significant. Devahuti served her. Okay, yes. Devahuti served her husband in 2 ways, Vishrambhena and Gauravena. These are 2 important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, and Gauravena means with great reverence. The husband is a very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position. And thus, she must offer him all respect. A man's psychology and woman's psychology are different. As constituted the bodily frame, a man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to her husband. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband wants to post himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there is some wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it, and thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, but it must not be familiarity that breeds contempt. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. In the present civilization, a wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization, she does not. Thus, the inferiority and superiority complexes are recognized. Damenacha. A wife has to learn to control herself, even if there is a misunderstanding. Saukhrudena vacha madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, in his home life, he must be treated by his wife with sweet words. 3. Visrajya kamam dambham cha dvesham lobham akham madam apramattodyata apramatta udyata apramattodyata nityam teji yamsam matoshayat. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities, and vanity. Vanity means madam, pride, extreme pride. Okay, question.
In this last sloka, it is written that uh, it is wrong. The husband performs some activities, but the wife has to tolerate. So, what type of activities is not mentioned?
Where?
Yeah, here. Even if there is some wrong on the part of the husband.
The wife must tolerate it, yes.
So, what is that wrong from the husband part?
If he unnecessarily shouts at her or something like that.
Oh, it is not like maintaining some illicit affairs and breaking four-legged principles, something like that.
No, that rule comes somewhere else. 7th canto. If a husband becomes addicted to sinful activities, then the wife must go back to her father and wait for the husband to become purified. After he becomes purified, then she has to come back to her husband.
So when a husband has a role to shout on a woman, then she may say, "So I can also shout." Then you have to tolerate.
Then she will not get karma phala, jnana phala, yoga phala, bhakti phala. That's all. You can do whatever you want. Nobody stops any man or woman from doing anything they want. But if you want, because that has to be given by the demigods or Lord Vishnu. So you have to follow the rules given by them. Otherwise, you will not get that. If you don't want it, don't do it. Go to hell. Both the man, woman, everyone go to hell. Who's stopping you? Nobody's stopping you. Agham, paragam. She gave up all sinful activities here means she gave up all offenses. Okay, we'll stop with that. My tablet is also now only 2%. It's going to shut down before that. So anyway, it's 8:59. We'll stop now. We have to continue from this purport. This is 3.23.3 purport. All right. Vanshaya Kudavyashya Pasandavyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vishnuebhyo Namo Namaha.